The time has finally come. Phainon kit leaks are here, and there are a lot of moving parts to his gameplay. But I promise you, his kit is a lot simpler than it might seem at first, and I'll be sure to explain it so that you can easily understand how he works. So, without further ado, let's talk about what Phainon does. First things first, if you don't want kit leaks, you should probably click off of this video. Secondly, we don't have any of his numbers or multipliers yet at the time of this recording, so we don't know how much damage he does, and thus can't say how strong he'll be. All I'm discussing in this video is how his mechanics work, not how much damage he does. Phainon is a physical destruction character with a really big sword. His technique is similar to Acheron's in that it'll instantly kill small enemies in the overworld and in the simulated or divergent universe, except Phainon's is an AoE instant kill. Think Firefly's AoE plus Acheron's instant kill. It requires 2 technique points because of how strong it is, but Phainon also automatically gives you an extra 3 technique points just by being on the team. So that's neat. Also, when using his technique on an elite enemy that can't be instantly killed, it'll immediately regenerate energy for all allies upon entering battle. His basic attack is the same single target attack that the majority of characters have, and his skill is a blast attack similar to Acheron's. The thing that makes his skill special is that it generates 2 points of memory for him. But what is memory? Well, instead of using traditional energy, Phainon's ultimate is charged based on stacks, which are currently referred to as memory. Name is subject to change. Think of it like Acheron's ultimate. Instead of using energy, Acheron requires slashed dream stacks. This means Phainon's energy bar will also end up with some sort of neat, unique design, just like Acheron's and Phaixiao's. So, how does Phainon get these special stacks for his ultimate? Well, we've been making Acheron comparisons because you should think of him as the reverse Acheron. While Acheron charges her ultimate whenever her teammates apply debuffs to the enemy, Phainon charges his ultimate whenever his teammates apply buffs directly to him. Harmony characters like Sunday and Bronya, who constantly target Phainon with buffs, are his best friend, just like Acheron relies on Nihility debuffers. So, Phainon can charge his ultimate by receiving buffs from allies and also from using his skill. But wait, there's more, because Phainon will also get a charge for his ultimate whenever he's attacked by enemies. Yeah, you know how Jiao Cho is such a huge boost to Acheron because he helps charge her ultimate during enemy turns? Phainon has that mechanic just built into his kit, which will really help charge his ultimate fast when there are a lot of enemies, like in Pure Fiction. Phainon buffs his own crit damage whenever he gains a stack for his ultimate, and he requires 12 stacks in order to activate his ultimate. Speaking of his ultimate, this is the bread and butter of Phainon's entire kit. His transformation, his territory, his main character aura. Phainon's ultimate costs 12 of his memory stacks and creates a territory where he removes all other allies from the field so that he is the last man standing. Think of it as being similar to Hulei's duel mechanic from the recent Apocalyptic Shadow. He challenges all of the enemies to enter his domain to solo them all by himself. While Phainon is in his ultimate territory, he gains a bunch of self buffs, such as increased attack, as well as increasing his survivability by buffing his HP, damage reduction, and making himself immune to crowd control debuffs, which is pretty necessary considering he's the only character on the field for enemies to attack during this state. He also extends all ally buffs on him. You know how the damage buff from Bronya's skill usually ends when a character's turn ends? Phainon can keep her buff on him until he exits his ultimate state. So aside from these self buffs, what does Phainon actually do in his ultimate? First off, he implants physical weakness onto all enemies, because fuck Apocalyptic Shadow mechanics. Then, Phainon gets a total of 8 fixed turns during his ultimate. Think of it like this. He basically gets to move at upwards of 500 plus speed, but once he's taken his turn 8 times, his ultimate ends. These numbers are subject to change, but that's the general idea of it. He enters his ultimate territory to solo the enemy and gets to move super fast 8 times. But he's not using his regular skill we described earlier. No. When Phainon enters his ultimate state, he gains several new skills. First is his enhanced basic attack. When Phainon is in his ultimate, his basic attack becomes a basic blast attack, and it generates 2 stacks of another stacking mechanic of his called Ruin. Ruin is basically a resource that he can spend during his ultimate in place of skill points. So we'll just say when Phainon uses his enhanced basic attack in his ultimate, he gains 2 special skill points, similarly to how Imbiber Lunai's ultimate gives him special skill points to consume. Then there's his enhanced skill. Phainon's enhanced skill advances all enemies to immediately take action. Yes, it's basically a Robin ultimate for the enemy. During this, he enters a counter stance. Think of it as the same as Yun Li. His counterattack deals physical damage to all enemies. Additionally, when he uses this enhanced skill, he heals himself, removes all debuffs from himself, and gains stacks of Ruin, aka special skill points, equal to the amount of enemies that were on the field. So when you use his enhanced skill in Pure Fiction, you gain a whopping 5 of his special skill points. And then you advance all of the enemies so that Phainon can counterattack all of them back to back to back with AoE hits. But what are all these special skill points for? Well, that brings us to Phainon's second enhanced skill. Phainon's second enhanced skill in his ultimate is what consumes these special skill points, doing 4 instances of bounce damage for each special skill point it consumes. Bounce attacks are like Sampo's skill, and it can consume up to a maximum of 4 special skill points. You can use it when you have less than 4 of his special skill points, but if you do consume the maximum of 4, then it further empowers this skill to unleash an extra attack after the bounce attacks, dealing damage to all enemies. Thus, you're really incentivized to build up his special skill points with his other enhanced skill and basic attack, and then only use his second enhanced skill when you have 4 stacks of his special skill points to consume. So, between his enhanced basic attack, enhanced skill, and second enhanced skill, these are the different actions Phainon can take during his ultimate. And again, he gets 8 turns during his ultimate. After all 8 of his special turns are up, Phainon will exit his ultimate in a blaze of glory, dealing physical damage to all enemies. Think of it like how Castorus's dragon will also explode in a blaze of glory upon exiting the field. Phainon will essentially do the same when he exits his ultimate, except hopefully he doesn't explode himself. If Phainon's HP drops below a certain percentage while he's in his ultimate, or in other words, if Phainon is about to die during his ultimate before he can take all 8 of his special turns, he'll exit his ultimate early and the Blaze of Glory finishing move will do less damage compared to if he'd taken all 8 turns. Of course, when Phainon's ultimate ends, his allies will return to the field, and they'll even get a speed buff to make up for the fact that they weren't on the field for a while. Isn't Phainon such a nice guy? As for his major traces, his first trace gives him an attack buff when he enters his ultimate, and the second trace buffs his damage when he receives heals or shields. They're mostly just damage buffs. His third trace is a bit more interesting. Characters like Acheron or Fei Xiao can't gain any stacks for their ultimates from energy generating abilities, such as Tingyun or Sunday's ultimates. But Phainon's trace allows him to gain a stack for his ultimate when allies like Tingyun or Sunday give him energy, as if Phainon and Sunday's synergy needed to be any more obvious. Now, I know this was a ton of info, and while I'm not going to go super in depth into rotations or builds or anything right now, I did want to give you a better idea of how Phainon is meant to be played. Basically, if Phainon isn't in his ultimate, you want to charge up his ultimate as fast as possible. Pair him with buffers the same way you'd pair Acheron with debuffers. Action advancing harmony characters like Sunday, Sparkle, and Branya are especially strong because their buffs are charging his ultimate, and they're also giving Phainon more turns so he can charge his own ultimate with his unenhanced skill. And remember, Phainon also charges his ultimate when enemies attack him, so he can charge his ultimate faster than you might think in certain scenarios. When he reaches 12 stacks for his ultimate, then he's able to enter his ultimate. He can technically hold up to 15 stacks if you want to wait for a bit instead of using his ultimate as soon as he reaches 12, but either way, once you activate his ultimate, that's when Phainon will really start doing damage. With Phainon as the only character on the field during his ultimate, you don't have to think about what any of your other characters are doing, since they no longer exist. It's all Phainon. Only Phainon. Just Phainon. While we don't have any of his damage numbers yet, Phainon's second enhanced skill that consumes his special skill points, the bounce attack one, is no doubt going to be his strongest attack, so you're likely going to want to use it as much as possible. You want to consume 4 of his special skill points to make this attack as strong as possible. So essentially, Phainon's attack rotation looks like this. Use his enhanced basic attack or enhanced skill to gain special skill points, and once you have at least 4, use his second enhanced special skill to consume 4 skill points and nuke the enemy. Rinse and repeat. You have 8 turns inside of his ultimate to keep doing this cycle of building up special skill points and then using them up on his second enhanced skill. But when do you want to use his enhanced basic attack, and when do you want to use his first enhanced skill? Easy. His enhanced skill grants him special skill points equal to the amount of enemies that it action advances, while his enhanced basic attack always grants him 2 special skill points only. You use his enhanced skill when there are 3 or more enemies, because then it gives him 3 or more special skill points, and you use his enhanced basic basic attack when there are 2 or fewer enemies, because then his enhanced skill would only be giving him 1 or 2 special skill points anyway. His enhanced skill also heals him though. So obviously if you need to heal him so that his ultimate isn't forced to exit early, then you'll need to do that. Either way, that is Phainon's kit explained, and that is his core gameplay loop. Buff him with buffers and action advancers in order to charge up his ultimate, and then once you're in his ultimate, use the proper enhanced skill or basic attack to charge up his special skill points so that you can spend the special skill points on his second enhanced skill. You get 8 turns to keep doing that during his ultimate, and then he exits his ultimate with a big boom, and you begin the process all over again of charging up his ultimate with his allies back on the field. This man does it all. AoE for pure fiction, implants physical weakness for apocalyptic shadow, and bounce attacks, which get stronger in single target scenarios because they're all bouncing to the same enemy. Not to mention he heals himself and reduces his damage taken, and he's immune to crowd control. He is truly here to be the main character. Again, we're missing damage numbers at the time of this recording, and this is the earliest public iteration of his kit, meaning a lot can and will change. Phainon's kit has so many aspects to it that I expect a lot to change, so I'll be sure to continue making videos to keep up with the new information and changes that occur with his kit over the upcoming weeks leading to his official release. But for now, let's just be excited to finally be able to discuss Phainon and the incredible, unique kit he seems to be bringing to Honkai Star Rail. Thank you so much for watching. If you still have any questions regarding how Phainon's kit works, leave a comment down below and I'll answer it for you. And if you found this video helpful, consider liking and subscribing. Phainon is my absolute favorite character from Honkai Star Rail, and I will definitely be covering all things Phainon related now that he's so close to releasing. Bye!